Hey traders, it's John Fortune here with this week's Weekly Forex Forecast for the 6th of August to the 10th of August 2018. As always, we're going to start by looking at the US dollar index and oil before running through a number of markets, looking at the key buy and sell areas or levels of support resistance in those markets, as well as highlighting the targets that we're going to be looking for in the coming week and also in the weeks ahead. One final reminder just before we get these going, the name of the channel will now be changing to Top Forex Targets, and that is likely to happen this week. So anybody who follows the channel and you want to keep up to date with these videos, please remember to jot down that name, Top Forex Targets, as you may have to search that name in future after this week in order to find the channel. Everything else will be continuing as normal. I will be here each weekend with you guys. It's only the name of the channel that's changing. No one has to resubscribe to anything. It's just the name of the channel that's changing. So with that, let's jump over to the charts and see where the money is this week. As always, starting with the US dollar index. Now, previously we were actually sitting at the key area of support at 94.22, and we were looking for this rally to the upside in the US dollar index. And we did actually have this, and we sit right around the 95.116 going into next week. Now, we are still in a range in the dollar index. And so what that means is we are still going to be playing the currencies on their own merit instead of having a strong dollar bias one way or the other. However, going to this week, very simply put, if we get a pullback and a retest of broken support turning resistance, and also you can see this is the equilibrium point or the midpoint of this range, this is going to provide a great place to once again start to look for bullish formations and patterns. And we're going to be looking at initiating longs up towards the 95.47, which is the next key area of support to the upside and target set. And if we can get a break through here, and of course this is the top of the range, we're going to be looking up towards the next key area of resistance to the upside and target 2, the 95.93. Now, some of you may say, well, if you're looking for further advances in the dollar index, then surely we should have a strong bias. But we've seen multiple times now, because we're in a range, we cannot hold a strong bias on the dollar. For example, we may end up just testing the target off of the open on Monday, and then we could end the rest of the week reversing from the top of the range. If that's the case, we'll see a weaker dollar. So we're going to be trading the currencies on their own merit once again this week. Next, we have crude oil. Now, last week we were looking at this key area of support at 6715 in oil, and you can see we have now tested this once, twice, and we started actually to bounce at the end of last week in crude oil, putting in this kind of bull flag formation. So very simply put, as we start the week once again above the 6715, although it has actually been in a correction for the last couple of weeks, we are still favoring longs on oil. And if we get a final pullback and a retest of this area, this is once again going to be a great place to start to look for bullish formations and patterns, and we're looking at initiating longs up towards the next key area of resistance to the upside and target set, the 72.15. If we get a break through here, we're going to be looking up towards the next key area of resistance to the upside and target 2, the 74.70. So the first pair we're going to look at is euro dollar. Now, very similar to the dollar index where we had that bounce in support in the dollar index, and we're just coming up towards the target now in the dollar index set from last week. We had that really nice move. A similar set of circumstances has played out in the euro. We were, of course, looking for the 1.17189 area as a great place to start to look for bearish formations and patterns. And we had this really nice sell-off last week, and we are now approaching the target set from last week at 1.15184. So very simply put, we're going to this week looking for further declines in the euro dollar. If we can get a pullback and a retest of broken support turning resistance at the 1.16248, this will be another great place to start to look for bearish formations and patterns, and we're going to be looking once again to initiate shorts down towards the target set from last week at the 1.15184. And if we can get a break through here, we're going to be looking down towards the next key area of support to the downside and target 2 at the 1.14422. Next, we have pound dollar. Now, pound dollar has been a really nice move. We were looking initially for a short from the key area of broken support turning resistance to the 1.3213, and you can see we came up to the pip and tagged this level before this really nice sell-off to the downside, and we are now approaching the target set from this move. So very simply put, we are looking for further declines going into this week. If we can get a pullback and a retest of broken support turning resistance, you can see tested multiple times over here, this is going to be a great place to once again start to look for bearish formations and patterns. And we're going to be once again looking to initiate shorts from this area down towards the next key area of support to the downside and target set, the 1.2920. And if we can get a break through here, we're going to be looking down towards the next key area of support to the downside and target 2, the 1.2818. Next, we have US dollar Japanese yen. Now, last week we had a really nice rally into the target set from last week at the 112.054. And as profit taking came in, you can see we started to sell off from this area. As we start the week once again above the key area of support at the 111.067, this once again becomes a great place to start to look for bullish formations and patterns, looking for another rally from this key area of support as we had last week, up towards the target set once again, the next key area of resistance to the upside at the 112.054. So we're looking for a similar trade as we had last week. And of course, if we can get a breakthrough here, we're going to be looking up towards the next key area of resistance to the upside in the target set at the 113.086. Next, we have Aussie dollar. Now, the Aussie dollar, ever since we sold off from key area of broken support, turning resistance at the 0.74770, has really done nothing. It's been super corrective, and there hasn't been a huge amount of opportunity in the Aussie dollar. There may be smaller trades looking for the target that we have set at the 0.73111, but I think there's certainly, at the moment, lots of other better pairs out there. It still stands that for anybody not involved in this, the best play would be if we can get a pullback and a retest of broken support turning resistance at the 0.74770. This is where once again we can start to look for bearish formations and patterns, looking down of course to the target set and the next key area of support to the downside, the 0.73111. And just something to mention, you can see guys, sometimes people will say to me, well, I only trade the Aussie dollar, I only trade the pound dollar, or I only trade the pound yen, etc. But the problem with that, I always tell people, is that if you only trade the Aussie dollar, this is your opportunity over the last 2 months, which is very small. So my advice is always to try and diversify into the markets as much as possible so you can avoid certain markets like this one if you do get this kind of price action for 2-3 months straight. Next, we have New Zealand dollar. Now, ever since we were looking for shorting opportunities from the key area of broken support turning resistance at 0.68500, you can see we got it right towards the pip up here. We have been moving and making our way to the downside. We came very close to the target set at the 0.67110, but we're yet to complete this target to the downside. So very simply put, as we start the week below broken support turning resistance at the 0.67716, if we get a pullback and a retest of this area, this is going to be a great place to once again start to look for bearish formations and patterns. For those of you like your trend lines, you might have some confirmation in here as well. And if we get this kind of price action, this is going to be a great place to start to look for shorts down towards the target set from last week at the 0.67110. And if we can get a breakthrough here, down towards the next key area of support to the downside and target 2 at the 0.65900. So next pair we're going to look at is US dollar franc. Now last week we started the week below key area of broken support turning resistance at 0.99627, and we suggested, even though we were potentially looking for a rally in the dollar index, which we did eventually get, we were looking to trade this on its own merit as the dollar index was in a range, and we did sell off and we actually took out the target set here last week at the 0.98954 before bouncing. So despite the fact we had a rally in the dollar last week, we did come down and take out the target in US dollar Swiss franc, and this is why we will be trading the pairs on their own merit once again this week, even though we are looking for a potential move up in the dollar index. So very simply put, going into this week, we start the week once again below the 0.99627. So this once again provides a great opportunity to start to look for bearish formations and patterns, and we're going to be looking at potentially initiating shorts down towards the next key area of supports to the downside and the target set, the 0.98586. And if we can get a breakthrough here, we're going to be looking down towards the next key area of support to the downside and target 2 at the 0.97909. Next, we have the US dollar CAD. Now, last week we were looking further declines in the US dollar CAD similar to the US dollar franc, even though we were looking potentially for that move up in the dollar index. And you can see we did end up declining last week, and we actually finished down at the lows in the US dollar CAD. So once again, we'll be trading the US dollar CAD on its own merit. It has not come down to the target set from last week yet. So very simply put, if we get a pullback and a retest of broken support turning resistance at the 1.30394. This is going to be a great place to start to look once again for bearish formations and patterns in the US dollar CAD, looking to initiate shorts down towards the target set and the next key of support to the downside at the 1.29250. And if we can get a breakthrough here, we're going to be looking down towards the next key of supports to the downside and target set at the 1.28206. And last but not least, we have gold. Now, last week, gold came down and took out both targets set to the downside. And we start the week below broken support, turning resistance at the 1218.79. So very simply put, we're looking for further declines this week in gold. This is a great place. Now, we've already come back to retest this broken support, turning resistance at the 1218.79 to once again start to look for bearish formations and patterns. And if we get that right kind of price action in this area, we're going to be looking down towards the next key area of supports to the downside and target set with a 1195.32. And if we can get a breakthrough here, we're going to be looking down towards the next key area of supports to the downside and target 2 at the 1185.30. So that is it from me for this week, guys. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please let me know by liking, sharing and subscribing. A big thank you to all of you who do that on a regular basis, and a big thank you to those who have subscribed to the channel so far. I hope you all have a really, really nice weekend. I hope you have a very profitable week next week. Take care, and don't forget to trade safely.